Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are. Thanks for being here. One question, the first question. Can you hear me well? Let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. I see Demetria is here. Hi, Demetria. Hi, Temi. Hi, Jamia. Hi, Joanna. I'm glad you're here, Joanna. Maria, I'm glad you're here, Maria. Can you all hear me well? Let me know. First question I always ask. And by the way, I'm near the road here. You see the tram line over there also. So um, if it gets too loud with the car noise, just tell me. I'll sit more over there. No problem. I'm here with my bicycle. So okay, you can hear me well. Good, good. So why the far right will lose? Now, for those who don't understand, let me explain. In the Roman Republic, because that is where it began, the Roman Republic. By the way, Rome was a Greek colony. The whole myth of Romus and Romulus, the twin brother that was raised by wolves, one killed one another and started the city Rome. That's a myth. Okay, it were Greeks that established Rome, and Rome became a Greek city kingdom, and later became a Greek city state as a republic, and it expanded, and they developed what we call Roman culture, which is more like a simplified Greek culture, a more softened Greek culture. I know that's not how classicists would describe it, but that's the best I can describe as an anthropologist. It's like you have the Greek culture itself, which is quite rough, and you have the more softened version, which appealed to the Germanic tribes and the Celtic tribes in the west of Europe. So there's Roman culture, and Rome became a republic for over around 500 years. And well, the Roman Republic was a big failure. Why? Because this system they had, each year you had elections, but not everyone was eligible to vote. Only the citizens were, and a citizen was always a man, just like in many other Greek city states. And here's the issue: Rome had a lot of foreigners in its territory when it began to expand through Italy. So eventually, it took a while before you communicated with Rome. They only had horses back then, or and chariots to travel by land. So each year, you had the proconsul primus and proconsul secundus. One was focused on the foreign policy, and the other was more focused on domestic policy. Just like if a president, a vice president, the whole idea of a president, vice president comes from the Roman Republic. So now you know. In the Roman Republic, you had two groups: the optimates, some call them optimales, but they were called optimates. I used to call them optimales too. Some sort of people call them like that. But the optimates, those were the businessmen who were traditional. Their mind was traditional. They were conservative. Then you had the populares, which we call were more the progressive ones, or we call liberal. The optimates want to keep things as they were. The populares were open for change because they said, okay, if the Roman Republic expands, we think now we invaded Syria. Syria is some part of the Republic. Now we invaded Spain. Now Gaul, what they call France, part of it. So our Republic is so big, we have to include this other culture. So the populares kept hammering on, we need to make sure the public has enough food, enough water, and they are at ease. Because if the public is not at ease, we have a problem. The Optimum is saying, yes, we need to keep public at ease, but we need to make sure they work hard, make sure they value the old traditions. So both the Optimates, which you can say the right wing, as well as the Populares, the left wing, were part of the same system. They both wanted to escape, but one, the left wing, Populares, they were flexible enough to admit when something had to change. Maybe not a drastic change, but they admitted it. The Optimates, I would say they were one of the reasons why the Roman Republic eventually had to crash, because the Populares tried to kind of lubricate things from time to time. I'm talking about the economy. But the Optimates, they were hardcore conservative. Now, understand the following. The Roman Republic had civil wars over and over again, a lot of conflicts, territorial conflicts, eventually turned into an empire, and the empire was far more stable. An empire lasted far longer. Okay? Now, why do I give this Roman history so you understand where the left and the right wing comes from? Now, look, the right wing has one big problem, and that problem is there is no universal definition of a conservative. What I mean by that? Okay, let's say Joanna is from Britain, okay? And in Britain, it's common that they cut off someone's hand, someone is convicted for stealing. And now you have, so that's how they do it in Britain. And people are comfortable with that. Cut someone's hands off, they steal. They never do it again. Let's say you cross the sea, you go into Spain, into not Spain, into France. In France, they say we need to have the people to be functional. If you begin to cut off people's hands, you have to cut off a lot of people's hands, and then before you know it, a big portion of the population is crippled, and then you have another problem. So in France, you have conservatives, but they say, listen, if someone's convicted of stealing, if it's proven they stole, we give them prison sentence or we force them to harsh labor for a while, and then they at least contribute to the community. So you committed theft, you caused loss. Now you make it up by serving the community through harsh labor or a prison sentence. In Britain, they were more focused on the fear. Oh, you lose your hand, or you're going to become crippled for life. Oh dear. So let's say now you have a conservative from, let's say Joanne is from Britain, and you have Alice is from France. Do you think Alice and Joanna are going to agree with one another? Let me know in the live chat. Do you think Joanna from Britain, where they're comfortable making people crippled after being convicted for theft, and Alice from France, where they put harsh labor on thieves, do you think those two women are going to get along? Let me know in the live chat. All right. A lot of people said no, no, they will not. Because Alice is going to think, well, hold on a minute, your community needs to be functional. If they're thieves, you reform the thieves so they don't steal again. And if they stole, you're going to make sure they make up their theft by contributing to the community. If someone steals and cut off their hand, now you have more loss in the community. Loss that you can't undo. Simple as that. But the thing is, the conservative in Britain said, hey, this worked for us. Yes, it works. And that's why there's so much poverty in your country. Because people don't steal, but instead a lot of people starve. And a lot of people just get along with that. In France, you have also conservatives say, listen, there's poverty over here, but we make sure there's relief from time to time. So what I'm saying is, there is no universal definition of conservative. Because what may be conservative in example China may be an abomination in Korea. So I'm conservative. If you can call yourself a conservative about what? Are you conservative because you want to preserve slavery? Are you conservative because you want to maintain pederasty, institutionalized pedophilia like in ancient Greece? Are you a conservative because you want to maintain high prison sentences, even though it's proven they don't work that well? Just being conservative it simply means you want to preserve something, but just because you preserve something doesn't mean you're preserving something good. You can also preserve something that's wrong and you cause harm. A liberal has a universal definition, but what is a liberal? A liberal is someone who emphasizes people's quote unquote rights to escape. Oh, you want to smoke? Well, it's your choice. Oh, you want to do an abortion? Well, your body, your choice. Oh, you want to do this or that? Well, as long as you don't cause direct harm, go do your thing. Others have to take it. So the liberal is characterized by giving in to public escape. That's a liberal. So you can get a liberal from Canada, a liberal from New Zealand, a liberal from Paraguay, a liberal from Korea. Doesn't matter. They will all get along, at least on a superficial level, because there's one definition they all agree with, and it's that one definition binds them together. So they develop a bond based on definition they're into public relief. Now, the conservative does not have this. What a conservative has is scapegoating. You can have a conservative from Poland, a conservative from France, a conservative from Britain, a conservative from Sweden. And all of them, they're from different countries, they're all Europeans, they all look similar, but they're from different countries with different customs. They all want to preserve different things, so they don't agree with one another when it comes down to it, but they're all upset with the same thing: mass migration. Because all of them perceive mass migration as an intrusion of their quote unquote purity. So they will join force together in social media, maybe even in mainstream media, and they fight against the EU or they fight against the mass migration or want to take down the liberal order, or whatever. But guess what? Much further, the kinship or the friendship will not go. Because the moment all the mass migration has stopped, the moment you deport all the asylum seekers, what's next? Now you need to live with one another. But then the Polish individual saying, hey, I'm a conservative, but I conserve this. Then the Swedish one will say, I'm a conservative too, but I conserve this over here. The English will say, I'm more in line with the Swedish guy, we conserve similar things. Now you have all these divisions and arguments. So understand this. There is no universal definition of a conservative. That alone makes it troublesome for conservatives to get along. Now, when they have a common target, whether it's whether it's feminist, whether it's mass migration, or whether it's the wokeism, the woke move, or whatever, when they have a common target that they're upset with, that is something that can bind them temporarily. It's stronger than glue. They feel so connected. You can have a conservative from Poland and a conservative from, let's say, Saudi Arabia, different cultures, totally don't agree with one another, but they feel like brothers or feel like sisters of one another. Why? Because they have this strong anger they express together against a common target. And this strong anger develops a trauma bond. But this trauma bond is only there as long as it's a target to victimize. The moment the victim dies or the victim fights back and the victimization ends, the brotherhood or sisterhood fades away. Now, I'm not saying that liberals are fully united and fully in harmony. They're not. But at least there is one basis they all have: public escape. Conservatives have that. So, what happens now is that a lot of people are upset with liberal democracy, they're upset with liberalism. All those escapes, people are fed up with it. So now they want to go the all other route. They want to go from the left wing to the right wing. And the left wing at the moment still has leverage. However, the right wing seems stronger because they address a lot of the dysfunction that liberals brought with their escapism. Liberals kept insisting on escapes, and those escapes became troublesome and problematic over time. But the liberals didn't want to admit this. So what happened was, from the liberal movement, eventually you had the woke movement that came up. I had a discussion one time with one of my subscribers, and I've explained the woke movement is that part of the left that realized to dominate it. The right wing, those folks are not united because they all want to preserve different things. They're escaping that way, but hold on a minute, we're escaping too. But we have to admit our escapes are problematic now. So the woke movement are those frustrated left wing folks who realize, you know what? I don't care whether it's right wing or left wing. I don't care. This function is function. We're going to attack it all. We don't have solution. We're going to attack it all because I'm tired of getting along with all this kumbaya escape. By the way, kumbaya is nothing wrong with it, but in liberalism is used as a type of peace. It's not really peace, but at the same time, these people don't want to become conservative because like conservatives only have a strong foundation in the long run. So they just attack every dysfunction. Now, both the left and the right are upset with wokeism because both the left and the right are rooted in escapes. The right wing escapes through historical patterns and holds on to structures. The left offers relief openly. Now, the left is a bit more chaotic in that sense, but at least they're practical. They admit we can't solve this. They admit if we continue to do things like the past, it's going to get worse. For example, in the Netherlands, in the past, it still is, but especially in the past, alcoholism was a big problem. And there was a lot of domestic violence in households because of alcohol. So the left wing politicians wanted to they wanted to come with a solution, but they figured out quickly we can't solve this. We can't go into people's mind and fix people, but we have to find a way to manage this. So people are addicts. They escape through alcohol. So you know what? We can't stop them from escaping because then they will lose their mind, they'll explode, and we could have more bloodshed in the community. So they will escape whether we want it or not. So what we do is, okay, look, soft drugs is not safe, but we're going to tolerate soft drugs. As long as you don't grow it in big quantities and sell it, you can do it. And if you want to sell it, you need to ask a license from the government and get an exception. You can do it in what we call a coffee shop. Yes, when you say coffee shop in the Netherlands, they to the public is a place where you go and get your weed or get other soft drugs. When you say coffee shop outside the Netherlands, it's actually a place where you get coffee like Starbucks. So the emerge of the coffee shop of the Dutch coffee shop came up. It also became a tourist attraction in Amsterdam. A lot of folks from all over the world came to Amsterdam to smoke their weed. But what I'm saying is, those liberal politicians admitted we can't fix people. People are going to escape. We want less domestic violence, so we have to find a way to give an alternative. That's why they came up with, you know what? Let people smoke cannabis if they want. Let people do this. Let people do that. Eventually, alcoholism decreased because now people had a more softer escape. So the conservatives wanted to maintain and say, no, no soft drugs. We're going to be hard on soft drugs. And if crime happens, we're going to give long prison sentences. But the liberals realized, well, don't mean this is going to harden people. We're going to get you only going to continue the violence. So did the liberals resolve the instability of the public? No, because they cannot. They only manage it in a more constructive way. So what I'm pointing out is that liberals have no long-term solutions, but at least they manage things in a more consistent way. Conservatives, they want to go very hard when they get upset. But when it comes to long-term solutions, they always say, well, it's not my responsibility. Look at the government. Government says, yeah, look at the family. Family says, okay, but look at the community. So that's how it goes. So a lot of folks now want to go back to conservatism. They are they have this fairy tale image of the past. They look at the past, it means before the 1950s, and think like before the 1950s, exempt from Second World War, it was like a paradise. They imagine, it's a false imagination because it's not true, that in the past everything was much more sustainable and much better. Now, certain things in the past were more functional. That's true. Because liberal escapes in the long run become problematic. That's true. However, if they get what they want, which is a revival of conservatism, which is going on right now, once they get what they want, I believe it's about to happen for 2025. I may be wrong. It's just a prediction, not a prophecy. I may be wrong in this prediction. But if before 2025 soon, they get their conservative revival, I can guarantee you it's going to be a short lived victory. Why? Because, okay, then you have those uh, right wing politicians in place, you have the right wing laws now, you do away all the liberal escapes. Hold on a minute. Those liberal escapes did delay a lot of conflict. You take away liberal escapes, what's going to happen with all these functional people? They now have no escape anymore. They now are forced to comply with traditions. And like because they have no choice, they'll do it, but the resentment is going to lead to bigger explosion fights. So what a lot of people expect now is that bringing back conservatism is going to lead to a revival Some even claim it's going to be a Christian godly revival of good values. I'm sorry to inform you, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen, if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. Okay? But as an anthropologist and sociologist with historical knowledge and spiritual insight, I'm telling you, what's about to happen is that people are going to get their right wing revival and the right wing victory, and very soon, like before 2030, within maybe 5 or 3 years, I don't know how long, they're going to realize this is not what we signed up for. We have more conflict now than we had before. What happens uh, to the brotherhood of conservatives? What happens to the sisterhood of all those women who want to be traditional again? What happened to that? They're going to realize what happened to the utopia we're struggling for? Because here's the issue: conservatives blame liberals for wanting a utopia, and they say, "Look at the Soviet Union. Once utopia, it became trash." We're realistic, but right now the same right wing longs for utopia of conservatism, but they don't see that, and they're going to figure out that their utopia is even worse than that of liberals because they don't eat, because they conservatively don't admit that need to give up the past. Now there are conservatives who are alert and realistic, but in general, conservatives, I'm not saying all of them, but what you will realize, what you will notice is that a lot of them are mainly focused on, escaping conflict and not facing the deep-rooted issue of their community. And when they admit the deep-rooted issue, they want to fight it. There's a difference between facing something and admitting. Okay, if my bicycle is broken, I can admit my bicycle is broken. But it doesn't mean I'm facing the fact that my bicycle is broken. If my bicycle is broken, I admit it. I just say, yeah, my bike is broken. If I face it, I mean, okay, then I say, okay, my bike is broken. What can I do about it? Can I fix it? Or do I need to go to a mechanic to fix it? Or where's a bicycle shop? You see the difference? Conservatives, historically speaking, and can still see to this day, they admit things, but what do they do about it in the long run? Okay? Liberals admit that that there is something wrong, but they also face the fact that they cannot solve it. But they also face that okay, we can't solve it, but we need to do something about it. So we don't have the solution, but at least we need to cope with this. And that is advantage of the liberals. And that's why conservatives are going to lose. Okay, let's say um, you have a woman, okay? She has sex with a guy, one night stands, and she got pregnant, okay? And now, though the conservative law, she's not allowed to commit abortion, so the baby is born. Now she gives up the child for adoption, okay? Because uh, she feels traumatized, wanting to kill the baby, and now the baby's born. So every time she sees the baby, she'll be remembered. Oh, I tried to take his life because I wanted to escape. When that child is 18 years old, she's going to have difficulty looking at her own son or daughter because she's realized, man, this is a human being that wouldn't be alive right now if I would have aborted him or her. So I was willing to take away a human life just to escape. That's going to bother her. So she gives up for adoption, which is smart. But here's the issue. Can you guarantee that this child will receive a loving, caring family? Well, likely you can, but you can't guarantee it. Okay? And let's say now that suddenly a lot of men decide to walk away from their families. Because a lot of conservatives say the man has to take care of his households, not the government. Okay, let's stop all government programs. Let's stop all welfare, all single motherhood programs. Let's stop all those projects. And let's say a lot of men suddenly decide, I want to go AWOL, I want to leave part of my family. Now you don't have government programs the liberals had to make sure that those children and their mothers end up in the streets. What are you going to do now? Oh, yeah, but the men are responsible. Yeah, but the men don't want to be responsible. What are you going to do now? Yeah, but now that means that we need to deal with it. Yes, we need to deal with it because your community. The liberals admit, okay, listen, if parents are stupid, if parents are out of their minds and they're not willing to face counter responsibility, we cannot fix those people. We can force them to behave themselves. We can do that, but we can't guarantee that the life of the child will be good. We can't guarantee a good childhood to everyone. We can't. Okay? So there are going to be children traumatized by the parents. What we can do is allow parents to escape under certain conditions. And that's what liberals say. Conservatives say, no, that's cowardice. We don't want this in the community. We're a proud community that takes responsibility. Okay, but what if people don't? That's what I mean. And the reason I make this live to me is because some of my subscribers identify with being a conservative. They go to they are member of conservative political parties, all of that. Listen, they actually identify as conservative. I'm not going to stop you identifying as a conservative. You can identify as that, but just realize conservatism is a movement that's not in harmony with the gospel. Okay? If you want to preserve good traditions, preserve good traditions. But don't identify with a movement that's not in harmony with the gospel. All right? And listen, do not think that Trump is going to save America. By the way, a lot of Republicans are turning on Trump right now because of the quick fix that he now promotes out of the blue. Okay? Um, don't think that that having a right-wing Christian party is going to be solved in the community. Don't think that. I told you before. Those people who want a conservative revival, the conservative revival is already going on. It's happening right now. It's unfolding at this moment. But once they have their conservative victories here and there, very quickly they'll figure out this is not what we want. It's not what we signed up for. Crap, what are we going to do now? And likely a lot of them don't want to admit they were wrong. So they have this proud attitude. Hey, we defeated you liberals. Your time is up. This is our time now. They'll keep pretending like nothing is wrong. And because they pretend like nothing is wrong, they won't face that, you know what, this is going wrong. They're going to have more trouble than before. Again, I'm not saying let's all become liberals. No, because the liberal side already told you it's also escapism. The only benefit liberals have is that they at least admit that they can't fix everything, and that and even though they don't have solutions, they still have to deal with things if they don't have solutions for them. So, in that sense, the liberals tend to keep the conservatives in check. But that's how it often was. But now, people don't want to hear about the left anymore. A lot of people have deep hatred for the left. Okay, you want to join conservative side? Do what you want to do. But I forewarned you, it's not going to be heaven on earth. It's going to be time bombs going off. And I pray that you'll realize you need Christ at that time. All right? So please, do not fall for this trap that Satan is laying right now. Yes, Satan is laying the trap, but it's the people that want the trap. Because it's the public that doesn't want to face this. They think, oh, make everything conservative and we're going to have a golden era. Name the last golden era of the conservatives that lasted for long, of which you benefit to this day. Name one. Oh, obviously can't name any. Look, I'm not saying that people that identify as conservative are bad, stupid, evil people, whatever. No, I'm not saying that. You have both liberals as well as conservatives who are bright, good-hearted, and people with quality. You have people of quality both in the liberal camp as well as the conservative camp. What I'm saying is, I'm saying to all people with quality, both in the liberal side as well as in the conservative side, listen. Let go of this left versus right division. You need to be under the leadership of Christ. The quicker you realize this, the better it is. Amen. All right. Now, this live stream is not going to take that long. But actually, the class is already over, so you can ask your questions right now. If you have to go, you can go. If you want to stay because you have a question, please ask them. Mm-hmm. Now, what the left asks is the left seems to be completely against Christ, but the right at least are trying to promote Christianity right now. No, 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 no. The right has believers in it. And those believers are deceived into thinking that the right wing is Christ centered. The right wing is not Christ centered. It uses Christianity. I don't talk about Catholicism. I'm talking about actually, it uses the Bible and biblical values. The Bible has no principles, only values. Principles are pagan and demonic. They use biblical values as a mask for their movement. But here's the thing, how many of those right wing folks are willing to walk by faith and give up all those uh, all those control obsessions they have? Very few. Much of the right wing complaint is we want sovereignty. We want to do whatever we want to do. Hold on a minute. Is that Christ centered? We want sovereignty. We want free will. We want to will whatever we will. You say that the left is satanic because their will is out of line. Okay, you can say that, and a lot of things on the left are out of hand indeed. But you folks want to completely be left alone the way you want it, and you don't want anyone to call you out on it. You want to be sovereign, close the borders. Uh, so only people within your border are humans you need to consider. Oh, but in the past, when you still had those national borders intact, you didn't have the European Union and none of that. Were all the people in national borders taken care of? No. So what makes you think that right now, if you close borders again, people are going to be better off? You had poverty in the past. You had domestic violence in the past. You have scapegoating in the past. Before liberal democracy became the norm, you had the nation states and national borders. And had a lot of bullshit happened within those borders. If there was a genocide happening in Ireland, people say, hey, that's Ireland. Ireland's run by Britain. It's Britain's business. And people just allow things to happen. Oh, and by the way, in the 1930s, when the Ashkenazi Jews were being persecuted, a lot of them wanted to flee, but some countries, including the Netherlands, said, we don't, hey, we close the borders. Yes, the Netherlands closed the borders at some point to all those Ashkenazi Jews who wanted to flee to the Netherlands. Yes, they did. Ooh, you won't hear this in history class. Okay? If I'm wrong about this because I misread something, you can correct me. I'm open for correction. However, a lot of countries in Europe closed the borders when Ashkenazi Jews wanted to flee. And they knew very well that under the Nazi regime, a lot of them were suffering. But hey, it happens in Germany. It's their sovereignty, their free will as a population. Who it's not our business. Hold on a minute. Don't they realize that a lot of human atrocities happens under the skies as none of our business? You want to be left alone? Huh? You want to go back to that era and you think that's Christ centered, Christ like? Are you kidding me? No, 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 no. Okay, you have this war in Ukraine right now. A lot of people then say that's not my war, not my war. Hold on a minute. So let me get it straight. Let me give you an example. If a guy is a child molester, but he's also a car mechanic, and you know he's a child molester, he openly brags about violating children. If you keep going to him to fix your cars, just because it's good at fixing cars, are people going to excuse you for doing that? Let me know in the live chat. I ask you all a question for those who are still here. If someone is a child molester and he even brags about it in the open, and but he's also a car mechanic, and you keep going to him with your money for him to fix your car, are people going to excuse you for it? So you have a good reason to keep going to that guy? Let me know in the live chat. What do you think? I still don't see any answers yet. Nope, not going to happen. Okay, but what if you say to what if you're arrested by the police and then you say to the judge in the courtroom, but your honor, what this car mechanic did to those other children is none of my business. It's not my trauma. Okay, that he raped all the children. Yes, the children are molested. That's a bad thing, but it's not my trauma. I just want to have my car fixed. I just want to be left alone. And this guy benefits me, so it's okay. But then the judge was able, hold on a minute. You know he's harming children. So all the money he earns, he's using it to continue harming children. So you're sponsoring a child molester to continue harming children. So you are a collaborator in harming children. I don't want to hear about him being good with cars. The moment you figured out he's a monster with children, you should have stopped going to him, stop giving him your money, and stop looking for someone else. I don't care if other car mechanics are worse than he is. You're not going to support someone that's a danger and expect to be innocent. So you're condoning him molesting children. As long as you're not bothered by the trauma of the children directly, it's fine to you. But you're innocent, you're a good individual. And you're the victim of people call you out. Now think about it. If Russia thinks Russia has the right to just get into another country, will what they will, and make the months like that, and you guys say, oh, it's none of our business. Okay, but what if one day Russia does it to you guys? Now suddenly it's everyone's business? Hold on a minute. So if Russia is committing harm to another community, and you guys want to keep remaining on good terms with Russia, you don't call it out saying, Russia, what are you doing? You don't even put sanctions on Russia saying, okay, it's Russia, we're not okay with this. If your economy is partly dependent on Russia, make sure you get independence from the dependence on Russia and make sure you move on. If you notice a country is effed up, why are you economically dependent on that country? So you say, oh, that's not my war in Ukraine. Listen, you're affected by it. And by the way, so you mean to tell me you're willing, as a conservative, to allow another population to be brutalized just because you want to be left alone? But you expect everyone else to excuse you? I know for sure if there were Dutch people being harmed somewhere, and Ukraine would say, "But it's none of our business. Want to be involved with it?" A lot of those Dutch conservatives would say, "Hey, what type of shit country is Ukraine? Dutch people are victimized. They don't even care." Oh, but now it's Ukrainians are in trouble. You say, "Oh, it's not our war. I just want to be a scapegoat here." Wow. You see what I mean with conservatives cannot win? How are you going to say the left wing is as lost its mind, but you are not willing to face the facts and evil in the present? If you claim you're better than the left, then I want to see your long-term good quality in contributing to solutions. Do I see this with the right wing? No, I don't. So the right wing has a Christian mask, but they're not following Christ. Listen, that's the company you work for supports a political ideology does not automatically mean that you're guilty of it. Okay, if the head of the company supports an ideology, but you don't, you're just working over there just to pay your bills. That's it. If they insist on you to celebrate what they're endorsing, okay, down, that's different. So if you work for a company that is a front for human trafficking, for example, then you need to look for another job, simple as that. But if you're working somewhere and they're not the direct front for criminality, but they support an ideology that's questionable, listen, you're just doing your job over there. If they begin to insist you to agree with them or else you're fired, then leave that place. Simple as that. Well, lad, if you migrate to the Netherlands for a long time. Amen. All right. I didn't see any other questions. Oh, if you already answered the question about that. Um, a lot of them are migrating to the Netherlands, indeed, after in Europe. But okay, I didn't get any other questions. Thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ. Be at peace, and I'll see you next live stream. Shalom.